So you want your ex back, but how do you do that? How does anyone do that? Your relationship seems so perfect and then they threw it away. I mean, it had its problems, but doesn't everyone's? Now you can't eat, you can't sleep, work and school feel meaningless, and you're afraid you'll never find a connection like this again. Maybe you've started watching no contact videos and you're realizing all the mistakes you made and you're afraid that you've blown it forever. I remember feeling completely lost after my last breakup. I lost 20 pounds and looked like this. I even found myself driving to her house at 3 a.m. one night trying to go and confess my love for her, and spoiler alert, it did not work out. Through my journey and professional experience, I've learned a lot about what does work and what doesn't work in trying to get back together after a breakup. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Cole Zeziger, and over the past 2 years, I've helped thousands of people get back together or move on after devastating breakups. In this video, I'm going to show you what your ex is probably thinking right now, what mistakes you can avoid, and no matter what stage of the breakup you're in, how you can best navigate to maximize your chances of getting back together. If you find this video helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any of my future videos. To start off, let's dive into the mind of your ex to figure out what they're thinking now. After doing hundreds of coaching calls with people on both sides of the breakup, I've noticed these 5 consistent stages that dumpers go through after a breakup. Before we begin, I want to make it very clear that every relationship is unique. The majority of people will go through these 5 stages, but anyone who tells you that everyone comes back is lying to you. Either way, this will give you a roadmap of the most common patterns so that you can maximize your chances. Stage 1 is called relief. Many times you'll begin to see your ex start to party more or go on a lot of trips. Their social media portrays that they're happier than they've ever been, and they might even tell you that they feel happier or relieved since breaking up with you. This is normal. Most of the time, this relief feeling has nothing to do with you. Growing up, I loved to go cliff jumping, and at the beginning of the day, on the first jump, I would always be terrified and stand up at the top for what felt like an eternity. Eventually, I would find the courage to jump, and after popping my head out of the water, I would feel an immense sense of relief knowing that I overcame my fear and made the decision I needed to make. This is similar to how your ex feels in the first stage of the breakup. Pause for a moment and think about the situation from their point of view. For them, it wasn't a surprise. Most likely, they wrestled with the idea of breaking your heart for weeks or months before they actually did it. On some days, they were sure it was time to pull the trigger, and then they had an amazing moment with you and changed their mind. Then on other days, they were feeling amazing, and then you guys would fight and they'd be reconvicted in the idea that they need to break up with you. That conflict would reignite their fears that things are never going to change and that there's happiness for them outside the relationship. Having this war in your heart and your mind is an extremely stressful place to be, and this cognitive dissonance is what your ex is feeling relief from after making the decision. Because making any decision is a lot less stressful than being stuck in indecision. The worst thing you can do here is message them because it's going to interrupt this feeling of relief. If we go back to the cliff jumping example where they jump off the cliff and start feeling relieved, reaching out to them here is like grabbing them and forcing them back into that uncomfortable place that they just worked so hard to get out of. That's why most people who do this are met with coldness. Your ex is going to put their walls higher and higher to fend you off because they don't want to be uncomfortable anymore. If you leave them alone though, this stage tends to only last 4 to 6 weeks. Signs that your ex is in the relief stage include partying excessively more than they did before, posting how amazing their life is on social media, posting more frequently on social media, and no communication with you. If you stayed no contact during the relief stage, your ex will most likely move on to stage 2, which is the curiosity stage. As the relief fades, your ex will start to see the situation more clearly and wonder why you aren't reaching out to them anymore. Like, what are you doing this whole time? This is because of a subconscious sort of pride that most dumpers have. They either consciously or subconsciously view themselves as better than you. After all, they were the ones who left their relationship. It was their choice. You were the one who was left. It's your job to reach out and fix things, but you aren't doing it. Why? They don't necessarily want you back at this point, but they are curious why you've gone silent. This curiosity turns a lot of dumpers into detectives. They start to scan social media or ask mutual friends if you're dating someone else or if you're still in pain. These are the signs you can look out for to see if your ex is in the curiosity stage. Watching your stories, reaching out to your friends or family, or blocking and then unblocking you. Most times this curiosity stage lasts about a month, and if you stay no contact the whole time, the curiosity can mature into concern. Stage 3 is the concern stage. If you've managed to hold out in no contact this long, you should start to feel a little bit better about your situation. No contact is the best method for getting your ex back, but more importantly, it's the best method for you to start feeling better and to start feeling in control of your life again. At this point, we're 2.5 months into no contact, and you should start to have glimmers of hope that life would be okay whether they came back or not. that maybe, just maybe, there's happiness for you outside of them. And you're still hoping they come back. You're gonna do everything you can to make sure that happens. But if they don't, you're gonna be okay. After a month or so of curiosity, your ex may start to wonder that if I changed my mind, would they even take me back? This is a monumental shift because up until this point, they were sure that they could get you back with one text or one phone call, and now they're starting to become unsure about that. They're starting to feel more similar to how you felt at the beginning of this process. They're starting to have some anxiety and lose control. Up until this point, they had all the power and all the control, but now it's been a couple of months and they haven't heard anything from you. Thoughts that you could reject them if they tried to come back start to creep into their mind, and they start to wonder if they've made the right decision. This uncertainty can get them to think back on their memories with you, the good and the bad. They start to ponder on the trips you took and the dreams you two had for the future. This leads to anxiety on their end as they start to experience the process that you went through at the beginning of the breakup. They start to feel the pain, finally, that you've been feeling this entire time. This tends to last 4 weeks or less. Here are the signs you can look for to see if they're in the concern stage. More consistent story watching, liking your posts, more asking friends and family about you, and them starting to post things like sad quotes on their stories. Stage 4 is the reach out. Finally, this is the moment you've been waiting for the entire time and the day you never thought would arrive. From my observations, most exes reach out if they're going to at about 3.5 months of no contact. Remember, the emotions they're feeling at this stage are similar to what you were feeling at the beginning of the breakup. So even though it sounds crazy, they're afraid of your rejection. Just like you don't know what's going on in their head, they don't know what's going on in your head. They're not sure if you think about them, and they're not sure if you miss them. They've been thinking about all the good times, and they want to test to see how they feel if they're interacting with you again. To protect themselves from this fear of rejection, most exes reach out in a really indirect way. They usually send you a question with something that they don't really need to know or that could easily be Googled. This is a way that they can safely test the waters with you and easily bail if things aren't going very well. Common examples include, hey, how's your cat doing? Hey, did I leave my shampoo at your house? Hey, what was the name of the pizza restaurant we went to last year? The best way to handle this is to ride the wave of their energy by matching it. Simply answer their question and then see where they take the conversation. If they ask how you are, ask how they are. And if the conversation starts to fizzle, let it fizzle. Remember that a large portion of their motivation here is their anxiety of not knowing whether you want to be with them or not. So if they ask you a little question and then you answer super excited, like you're way over the top, you're going to take away a lot of that motivation because they won't have any anxiety anymore and they're going to be left feeling empty. When they look inside and assess their emotions, they're not going to feel as much draw towards you anymore, and then they'll back away, confused at whether they want to be with you or not. It helps to imagine yourself as the prize. They are the pursuer. It is your job to let them fix what they broke. So when you're matching their energy, make sure that they are your limit. The texting should never look like they're sending one little thing and then you're sending giant paragraphs. It should be even, or even with them sending a little bit more than you are. If you do correctly match this energy, things often progress to stage 5, the meetup. The best meetups are short and playful, meaning that I want you to avoid hanging out with your ex for 5 hours the first time you see them, even though I know you want to so bad. Our best case scenario is that you two meet up for an activity that lasts 1 to 2 hours and have a great time. Then your ex goes home and thinks about how it felt being around you again. Our attraction to people grows in our minds when we're away from them. So give it the opportunity to grow. The biggest mistake I see people make is thinking that this is the only meetup they're ever gonna get with their ex, so they put all of their effort into making it super extravagant, and then their ex gets overwhelmed and ghosts them after. You also don't need to worry about bringing up the breakup here. You don't need to rehash everything that broke you guys apart on the first meetup. If your ex brings it up, which they might, that's fine because you're letting them fix things at their own pace. Just continue to match their energy here. The time for that conversation will come once you two have built a connection again that you can draw from. But you don't want to have a great time and then at the end say, where are we going? Are we going to get back together now? I'm so worried that I'll never see you again. Because if you handle it that way, you probably won't. Again, a lot of it is their anxiety. Let them ride that wave as they progress in growing attraction for you again. Now, if you're going to be able to stick to this plan and handle the reach out and meet up well, we're going to have to make some changes. I once heard a quote that said, when you get into a fight, you're going to fall back on what you've practiced, not what you think you should do. Meaning that in this case, if your only practice is watching videos like this, you might eventually get a reach out, but then revert back to needy and clingy behaviors that's gonna push your ex back to the relief stage. With something this important, you just can't fake it till you make it. But if you can create a life that you truly enjoy living, one that you know you'll be happy with regardless of your ex's decision, then you're going to naturally show up in a more detached and confident way. You're not going to be hanging on every word that they say. This is going to be much more attractive to them, and it will help you naturally stick to the plan. Because again, they're coming back because of their own anxiety. If you freak out and take the reins prematurely, that anxiety will dissipate and they'll go back to the relief stage. So how can you create this life that you enjoy living regardless of the outcome? Because since they left, everything just feels meaningless. The key is having a system. Although it feels like you have no control in your life right now, you actually have a lot more than you think. Pause the video right here and get a pencil and a paper. Now at the top, write down these 5 categories: family relationships, friend relationships, work/occupation, religion/spirituality, and hobbies/fun. Now rate each category based on your level of satisfaction in it on a scale of 1 to 10 before the breakup and now after. Here's a common example I see. Let's say Jen was an 8 in family and an 8 in friends. Let's say she was pretty satisfied with her job as well at a 7. Felt okay in her relationship with God at a 7 and focused a lot on her relationship, so she didn't really have that many hobbies. We'll make that one a 4. Then suddenly Jen gets blindsided and her boyfriend, who became the center of her entire life, leaves her. She isolates herself from her friends and family because it feels like they don't understand her anymore. So we'll make those both a 4. Her job doesn't hold as much meaning anymore since her future was supposed to be with her boyfriend, but now it's unclear. So she's doing the bare minimum at work. Let's make that one a 3. She feels like God abandoned her since she's been praying and praying that her ex would change his mind, and he hasn't. So she's not sure if anyone's listening to her prayers. Let's make that one a 2. And any hobbies she did have trigger memories of her ex, so she avoids them completely. We will make that one a 1. Now, with Jen's life so broken after her ex left her, can't you see why it would be so hard for her to become calm and collected when he texts her? Even if she's prepared by watching hours of videos, it's going to be impossible because her entire happiness in life relies on her ex's decision. But let's say instead that Jen makes a list of a couple things she can do to improve her life in each category we listed before. And she makes it a goal to do at least one of these actions every single day for the next 3 months while she's in no contact. Let's say her list looks like this. She says for family relationships, she'll call her mom and spend more time with her little brother. For friend relationships, she'll focus on complimenting her friends and maybe talking to strangers to make new friends. For work, she's going to ask her coworkers what's going on in their lives and then take some time to brainstorm how to make her job run smoother. For her relationship with God, she's going to pray with more feeling and maybe spend an extra 10 minutes each day reading the scriptures. And then for hobbies, she's going to try to sign up for an art class and maybe try to just go outside and take some pictures to try out a new hobby of photography. By the end of this 3 months, her life could look more like this. If that's the case, she's going to be a lot more confident and collected when her ex reaches out. She's going to let him fix it because she's happy where she is. Anything he does is just a bonus. You really can get there. So take a minute to make a list just like the one in the example before and commit to do it the entire time you're in no contact. If you need one-on-one help in making that change or making a plan to save your relationship, you can click the one-on-one coaching link in the description. Yes, this video is about getting your ex back, but if you can make the changes that we talked about in the last half of this video, then I can promise you that you're going to attract the happiest relationship of your life, whether that's with your ex or someone new. I thought my goal was getting my ex back. I thought that I needed her to be happy, but the real goal was learning how to be happy regardless of the outcome. When you can figure out how to do that, then all of the power you think your ex has right now is instantly returned to you. If you've enjoyed this video, please click like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my videos in the future. And click here to learn about 3 of the most common pieces of bad breakup advice that will kill your chances if you follow them.